everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to cover the Norris TNKATT tournament that took place last Saturday on December 9th. We're going to start out by looking at the conditions at launch, and we're going to do that from the water.
All right, everybody, this is the Norris tournament. We just got launched. As soon as we got in the water, rain came. So we do not know at all what to expect. We've got about an hour late start. The launch we were going to be launching at was had not just one but two bass tournaments launching out of there, so decided best not to have to deal with that. So we're back here at Cove Lake, whatever it is we called it. This is where we launched when we did our prepping. Weather's completely different. It's a little bit warmer, but we've got cold, rain, overcast instead of bluebird skies. And honestly, we do not know what to expect. So we're just going to get out here, start cranking, start throwing stuff. We know that green pumpkin worked when we were out here pre-fishing. And we're just going to see if we can't find them on some kind of structure. From what we've heard, the smallmouth at least are hitting, but they're scattered and they're in, usually about 20 feet of water. We don't know how this is going to change. I get to play with my new toy. I finally put a fish finder in here. I don't like how much that's shaking, but it ain't moving. It's got side view on it. Let's see what let's see what this one looks like. I'm in 42 feet of water. What's the water temperature at? I can't see anything. Did it just take a while? It might just be too deep. I'll bet that's what it is. Yeah, I'm starting to see structure now. But we've got side view. This is a Garmin Echo map. It's got side view, it's got down view. Came with the Navionics maps, which I love. I've been studying on Navionics maps for tournaments since we started doing these one-day ones. So, I don't know, we'll see. I don't know what to expect. Oh, something just fell out of my pocket. Oop, that's my wallet there. That wallet needs to be in dry storage right there. Let's put that in the dry storage. But let's see what we get going. I don't want to get in the way of this guy, so I'm just going to go and fish these banks over here. That's a long intro, but kind of flustered. We don't know exactly what to do. We only got to do one day of pre-fishing, and that day is nothing like today. So we'll see what's going on. Hopefully we get some good fish in, and let's get some fishing done.
Lake Norris is one of the oldest lakes created by a dam in Tennessee. It is the first dam that TVA built, although it's not the oldest they manage. Once TVA was established, they took over some of the older dams, but the very first one that was built by TVA is Norris. So this lake is old. It is a very interesting lake because it's got very steep banks and there is not a lot of vegetation on this lake. In fact, the majority of the nutrition in this lake comes from the Clinch and the Powell rivers that flow in. Without those rivers flowing into the lake, it could not sustain life. So it's a fair, healthy fishery, but it's not the healthiest. And because of how steep these banks are, it's a very interesting place to fish. We started catching pretty quickly on the strategy that we had developed 2 weeks earlier in pre-fishing by fishing the deep and steep banks in 20 to 25 feet and really shallow. We started catching quickly. I caught two relatively quickly and my dad caught two. But unfortunately, as you will see, my dad's GoPro started flaking out. We're pretty sure the memory card that was in there is a bad card because it seems that it's only happening on that one card, although it's been very inconsistent until the last couple of weeks. So hopefully we won't run into this again.
All right. Yeah. Yikes. Double yikes. We're going to start out working this point here, the crankbait. I was not able to get my power line for my sonar repaired in time.
I ended up not being able to find exactly what I needed locally, so ended up having to order it.
All right, guys, I just missed one on the bank. Hit my red crawl crankbait. So hopefully we're seeing the same pattern we did before, in which case we'll be throwing pretty much all crawl stuff. So let's see what happens. Oh crap, that's a big one. Whatever you are, that's a smallie. Get in the net, get in the net. Oh, I got you. Oh, thank you, Jesus. On the crankbait. All right, well, with this new configuration, I'm gonna figure out how to get this fish on the measuring board. Go ahead, just go ahead. Do my dad's technique here. The net right there. Put this out of the way. Make sure that's visible. All right. Get that mouth shut. Gonna come in at 14 1/4. All right, guys, first keeper of the tournament. Not a bad size, little guy too. Came up, grabbed my my red crank at about 17, 18 feet of water. So we got a picture of him. We're gonna let him go. Let's try to get 2 more keepers real quick. I don't care if they're 12 inches or 20 inches. I just need 3 keepers. And then we'll start changing it up, figuring out how to catch some bigger ones. I'm gonna go ahead and submit this fish. 14 1/4. We're gonna go ahead and submit him. 14.25. Submit catch. Location error. All right, I'm gonna figure out why that's happening. Submit to leaderboard. I've got cell reception here, I'm pretty sure. Come on, submit. Really? Oh my gosh. All right, once I get my next one, I'll try to update the standings. I want to do that as I catch fish. But for now, we've got one that's 14 1/4. Let's go get 2 more keepers.
Okay, well, caught the first fish, but my GoPro apparently shut itself down. I don't know if problems with the GoPro or the card, but it keeps telling me that it's having to repair my file. So, caught my first fish. Was not a keeper, it was only about 9 inches. But at least we got the skunk out of the boat, so to speak. See what happens with this green pumpkin. I may switch up to a hot crawl. It's still got that, it's got sort of a brownish green pumpkin back, but it's got that dark, dark red belly. GoPro capture. GoPro capture.
After those first 4 bites in the first half an hour or so of fishing, we didn't catch anything for the next 2 or 3 hours. We'd already lost an hour because we weren't able to launch where we wanted to and we had to drive to a separate location. So we're halfway through the tournament and we've only got those first 4 bites and the bite is dead. So we decided we need to switch things up. We know there's some deep points in 60 or so feet of water with some shallower areas on a steep bank, so we'd be fishing in closer to 30 to 40 feet of water. So we decided to go and hit that bank.
Still sinking. All right, so I'm in about 30 feet of water. I just cast and I'm in about 30 feet of water.
Your kayak is, or where you cast?
Where I cast to, I'm in 60 feet right now.
After fishing this deep structure for about an hour or so and not catching anything, we decided it's time to make another change. We noticed on the other side of the lake that the bank is significantly shallower and not quite as steep, but it's still got a lot of points and rocky structure and rocky bluff-like structure all over the place. So we decided it's time to change things up and go and fish this other bank.
We could try some of these banks over here. They're not as steep. Or the shot. I might just go here and kind of fish along the bank that way. Straight across, just to see what's going on.
We go and we fish this other bank, and we're going across a stretch going away from the boat launch. And after about an hour, this change in plan paid off.
Oh, Lord. Thank you, Jesus. Get down this way. Get it up on the bank and find ledges. I finally got another one. I was up on the bank. He eventually just came up and grabbed it right along this. There's a ledge here. $16 3/4. All right, guys. It took a while, but we got another keeper. He was hanging out on this ledge here. We're in 16 feet of water, but man, it's been a hard day of fishing. I can tell you that. But that's 2 keepers on the board for me. Hopefully we can get some more. Get some from my dad as well. Only have an hour left. It's a largemouth. He just might be a keeper. Let's get him in the net just to make sure. Okay, if he's a keeper, that'd be 3. Thank you, Lord. I think he'll be a keeper. He'll be my smallest one, but he'll be a keeper. Oh, ow, that hurt. Oh, my fingers are cold. Whew. I don't know that it ever got into the 60s like you said it was supposed to. Please be 12. Oh, he's 12. He's 13 or so. 12. He's 13 exactly. All right. I don't know if I'll get cell signal or not, but here's my last keeper, my 3rd keeper at least. 13 on the Ned rig. Oh, things could be in mud. Oh, it's been a grindy day, but that's 3 keepers. Got 1 decent sized one. Let's see if we can't get some upgrades. I don't know that he's 13, or he'd have to be over 13 to help. Let's get a measurement on him real quick like. I doubt he's over 13. He's 11.5, so not even a keeper. But that's a smallmouth on these rocks. I don't know if it's because it's getting warmer, slightly warmer. Water temperature is still the same. No real difference, but sitting on the rocks. There's another one. I don't think he's over 13. I'll measure him just in case. No, I don't think he's going to be quite that. He's 13 exactly. So he doesn't help me any. Smallest is 13. We're going to go ahead and let him go. Keep going with it. Another one. But I don't think he's 13. I'm just going to toss him. See if he's got somebody. Well, just getting another little measurement on him. Yeah, not close. So, toss him back. Get some of his bigger buddies. All right. That's it. Let's get copyright struck for the Star Wars theme real quick. All right, guys, it's the end of the tournament. Took a little while and it was very grindy, but I at least caught a limit, and hopefully my dad caught at least a couple of keepers. We'll see. It was not an easy day today, but we weren't really expecting an easy day. Didn't get to come out except for once to do some pre-fishing, and that was 2 weeks ago. And I mean, that's what got us on the green pumpkin pattern, which is what I caught my last like 4 or 5 fish on. I was kind of surprised that got two hits on the crankbait so early on and then had nothing. That was not expected. I was hoping that oh crap, big rock, shallow water. I was hoping that they were going to be hitting active baits, but and maybe they were early on. We did get a late start. I won't go through the details. I'm sure I'll be able to organize my thoughts a little bit better once I get through the footage. But not a bad day overall. I don't know what my placement was throughout the day. I couldn't get cell signal often enough to submit my fish. But hopefully on the way over to check in, I can get those fish submitted. But Norris is definitely a different lake, especially with the water being so far down. You can see at Summer Pool, you can see the darker rock. That's roughly where the water level usually is, and you can see it's dropped a good 15, maybe even 20 feet. I mean, you see the bare bank all the way around. It's just, there's a lot of awesome structure here. I'd love to come back to Norris maybe in the summer, fish some of these deeper points, especially with the sonar that I've got now. Definitely helped. I didn't really use the side imaging as much, but the down view and particularly the charts and being able to see my depth helped, because I knew I wanted to be in about 14 to 20 feet of water when I was casting into these rocks in the last hour or so. That's ultimately how I was judging where I was casting. So I'm really glad that I invested in this. The charts are helpful, and I feel bad for my dad. He has a fish finder, obviously. You've seen him use it, but the cable came out of the fuse holder and he had to get a new fuse holder, and the one that we ordered was the wrong size, so his was not operational today. But he's really good at using the fish finder and finding depth. That definitely helps. But hopefully he caught some more. We'll see what's happening once we get back to the boat ramp. I have no idea where I ended up placing, but I caught a limit at least. Even though it was cold and rainy, and I'm going to go home and sleep, I can tell you that. Yeah, I'm just exhausted. It's been a long week, but last hour made it worth it. I don't think I've quite got a perfect hold on Norris, but I feel a little bit more confident coming out next time.
Once we got back to the boat ramp, I was able to submit my last 2 fish. I was able to submit the first one I caught once I found a little bit of cell reception in a random cove on the lake. So I had already had the one turned in, but those last 2 I had to wait until after we'd gotten off the lake and onto the boat ramp. Once we got to check-in, I figured out that I finished in 14th place out of 30 total anglers. Unfortunately, my dad was not able to find any keeper sized bass. He'd taken a bit of a risk and went back towards the boat ramp. I continued to go out towards the main channel, and that ended up being kind of the game changer for me. But the top 7 total tournaments that you fish this year is what counts towards AOY standing. So a 14th place for me isn't going to hurt me very much. I finished in 9th on the last one. My dad finished in 5th on the last one. And we're going to fish more than 7 tournaments, so this one shouldn't ding him any for AOY. And we're really hoping to finish in the top 10 come the end of this season. So 14th out of 30 anglers on a lake that I don't know and a type of water that I don't know. I'm not used to fishing clear and deep water like Norris or Cherokee. I'm used to Loudon and Douglas and Chickamauga and these dirtier, muddier waters. So I'm pretty proud of how I did, finishing in the top half. And it was overall a pretty good day once you got past the weather, and especially in that last hour when I started catching them. But our next tournament that we can probably fish is going to be Cherokee on January 20th. That's going to depend heavily on the weather. I don't particularly like cold, and if it's in the 20s, I don't know that I'm going to be very motivated to be out fishing on Cherokee. But if the weather continues to be like it is now, rather mild, it's dropping below freezing once you get to sundown, but in the day it's continuing to be in the 40s or 50s, sometimes even the low 60s. If the weather continues to be mild like that, we'll probably enter into Cherokee. It should be very similar to fishing Norris because it's got that steep banks, it's got a lot of rocky structure, and a lot of cold water. So we're looking forward to playing around with that. We've only ever fished Cherokee for bass once, and we didn't do very well, and that was also in the middle of summer, like in, I think, August. So it's going to be a very different game plan, but we're starting to strategize for that, and we'll see how the weather holds out for that. And then after that is February's tournament, which is on Watts Bar. That one's also very dependent on weather, again, because I'm not very big on fishing in cold weather. I don't like it at all, but I will suffer through it if we think we can do well. As for content coming up, we've got one video on the French Broad that I'm getting prepped to go up next Friday. And after that, we're hoping to get at least one more trip on the French Broad before it gets too cold for them to be fishing shallow. And we're going to find some other ways to make some content for you guys. Hopefully we can get out and make some warmer weather trips, maybe to some lakes for some stripe or some crappie or something like that. We don't know. We're still kind of planning on that. Other things we have planned, we've got some gear reviews we want to do. Obviously, we've got a lot of Kistler stuff to put some reviews out on, and I'd like to do a little bit of stuff with my new Garmin Fish Finder. I'm really a big fan of how it's worked out, and I really enjoyed using it. I think it's going to help a lot when it comes to tournament fishing, especially when we get into the summer and we're going to be fishing deep structure, trying to find those big bass, fishing big baits. And also, I'm working on a compilation of topwater hits because I don't know about you all, but for me, when it's cold and wintry and I can't get out and fish as much, I like to go onto YouTube and find compilations of topwater explosions and topwater fishing. I just love watching it. I love seeing bass blow up on these big baits. So I'm going through all of this year's videos of 2023, and I'm seeing where our best topwater hits were. So I'm going to make a compilation, and hopefully y'all enjoy it. I'm really enjoying going back and watching them because it's just a lot of fun. I am a topwater addict, and I have been for a long time. There was a while when we first started fishing on kayaks where I would fish Whopper Plopper in the middle of August at 97 degrees, high noon, and I was determined I was going to get something on that Whopper Plopper. And a lot of the times I did. Might not have been very many, but I'll catch at least one fish on the Whopper Plopper before the end of the day. It's going to take 8 hours, but I will get that hit. But that's kind of the plan. We're playing it by ear, just seeing what the weather does and how the generation schedule on the river goes. And we're just seeing what we can get going. We're really looking forward to learning some new fishing stuff for this winter time and some cold water fishing. So there's a lot of stuff we're working on. And I hope y'all enjoy it and come along with us on this journey. It's a lot of fun. We've also got, this is going up on the 15th, so we're coming up on Christmas time. So I hope y'all have a fantastic Christmas holiday and Christmas season. We're coming up on the weekend. I hope y'all have a fantastic weekend, and we will see you next Friday for a trip to the French Broad.